I have found that the more energy I've been putting into different friends, the more I've been getting back. Do they suck? Yes, they do. Get rid of them. Do I suck? Okay, I need to work on myself. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Make It Make Sense. This week we are making sense of maintaining friendships, whether people are good friends in your life, and how to make new friends. I also touch on your Make It Make Senses that you sent in to me, which was fun, and we unpacked them. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the episode. If you're watching this, I do apologize because I look a little bit disheveled today, but I just thought today I wanted to be super comfortable when I was on the podcast, and I feel like I'm more myself when I'm comfortable. So apologies if you're watching this, listeners, just keep listening. Well, I should probably update you guys on my weekend. It was another weekend of me where I was meant to be having a quiet night in, but of course it didn't turn out like that. I had lots of work Saturday, Sunday, so I wasn't meant to be going out Saturday night, but nevertheless, we ended up going out. So I had my friend Litz's birthday. I met them at the Cala. I was a bit late because I had work. And then I don't know what happened. Like, I had a glass of wine while I was getting ready. And I think that's where I should have thought, oh, the night was going to take a turn for the worst or take a turn for the best, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, I had a glass of wine when I was getting ready. And then I'm not going to lie, I did take a shot before I left. Just because I thought everyone else would have been at the dinner for a while. And that means that I would have been playing catch up. So anyway, I met them at the Kalal, and as soon as I get there, my friend, you guys know Eden, she was like, Meg, do you want to take a shot? And I was like, why not? Okay, so at this point, we're one glass of wine deep, 2 shots deep. And then I get to the table, say hello to everyone, say happy birthday to Litz, and then James, my other friend, orders us a drink, and I don't know what he ordered, but it came out as a pina colada in this huge coconut, which was fun. So yeah. And then from the Cala, we ended up going to, I think it's called Pawn & Co. We went to like this upstairs area. That was really fun. Then we randomly went to the tax office, which, guys, I have not been to the tax office in a long time. And I probably shouldn't have been there, but that's okay. We went to the tax office, and then I was able to be like, no, I think this was at like 12:30. So honestly, it was actually quite early. I was like, honestly, it's time to call it a night. It's time to go home. I have work the next day. I'm walking. If you know, I was in the valley, which, guys, normally I just stick to James Street in like the city area. But anyway, we were in the valley, and there's this place where you walk in the valley, and it's like where all the Ubers pick you up. It's just like an easy street for Ubers to pick you up. It's called Marshall Street. Anyway, I'm walking to Marshall Street. I just hear someone go, Meg, and I turn around, and it's these 2 people that I know, and I just start chatting to them, and I obviously was a little bit piddled, like I had a little bit to drink, and we were just talking, catching up, and they were a little bit drunk as well. I'm not condoning binge drinking, by the way. I'm just recounting the events that happened. And then I don't know how this happened, but I was like talking to them, and then I was like, oh my God, you guys should come back to mine and we can play Mario Kart. Like, I have a Nintendo Switch at home. And I think I don't know, but I don't think that I was actually meaning that we were going to play Nintendo Switch. I think they were like thinking that we were on for something, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But and then I was like, yeah. And I was like, my Uber's like pretty much here. You guys should just come into the Uber. And they're probably thinking, hell yeah, we're on. And we get back to mine, and we sit on the couch, and I actually like get out the Mario Kart and the Nintendo Switch. And I don't even I do remember playing it, but yeah. We played Mario Kart, and that was it. And then I went to bed. And that was really rogue. And then on Sunday, I was severely hungover, and I had to go to work, and everyone at work had to put up with me hungover, which I haven't done in a long time. I've actually been really responsible. as in like going to work hungover, because it's just not the right thing to do, obviously, when you're working with children and stuff. But luckily it was dress rehearsal, so I wasn't actually teaching. I was kind of just like volunteering like around. So yeah, I was hungover all day Sunday. Then what else did I do since I spoke to you guys? There's probably some other stuff I would like to tell you, but I can't. I'm not going to, because I do need a little bit of a private life. We're living for the plot a little bit too much at the moment, but that's okay. You have to go through it when you're single. You have to experience all these things. And I've got a lot of little side quests happening at the moment. And yeah, it's fun. It's fresh. Haven't got into too much trouble thus far. Oh, actually, something else that is really funny that happened on the weekend is that I don't know what is wrong with me, but like none of my friends are safe when I've had a little bit to drink. For some reason, I just want to kiss everyone. And by everyone, I mean like my friends. And there is the funniest video of, you guys know my friend James, who he is gay, and there's just the funniest video of us kissing. I think it was at the tax office, and Litz is behind like, oh my god, it is so funny. And like, I genuinely don't even know how that happened. I kissed James, I kissed Eden, all fun and games, just with your friends. I don't know like how that came about or what happened there, but that video is literally the funniest thing. Also, my Facebook has linked to my Instagram, and so all my Instagram reels all my Instagram reels from like the past couple years are being uploaded to Facebook. So the people on my Facebook, like friends and family, are probably so confused because a bunch of Instagram reels that are like with my ex or like things from 2 years ago are being uploaded. And I keep getting messages from my friends being like, Meg, like you might want to take this down. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. So if I'm friends with you on Facebook and you see that on there, just like ignore it or text me. All right, I do have a Meg It Makes Sense this week. And also we are going to get into your Meg It Makes Senses, that because more people are listening to the podcast now, and I've had more people submitting their own Meg It Makes Senses. And so if you have one, don't be afraid to DM me on my private Instagram, the Meg It Makes Sense Instagram, TikTok, email. No, don't email me. You guys don't know my email, and I don't think my manager Eliza would appreciate that. But if you have some Meg It Makes Senses, just DM me, send them to me so that we can get into them on the podcast. Because honestly, the ones that I have today are actually really not funny actually, but some of them are funny, but some of them are just like your life dilemmas, and we kind of are going to unpack them. But anyway, my Meg It Makes Sense at the moment, or today, is people are shocked what I'm doing, but I'm not. Like, Make It Make Sense. I've had so many people messaging me being like, oh my God, Meg, like what you're posting is unhinged, or what you're doing here, there, blah, blah, blah is unhinged. My friends, I'm like talking to my friends about like the little side quests and stuff that I'm doing, and they're like, oh my God, like I can't believe you did that, or I can't believe you're doing that. And it doesn't shock me at all. I'm like, what? This is chill. Like, I'm calm. I don't even think what I'm posting is that crazy. I don't even think the side quest that I'm going on is that crazy. But I'm just concerned that it's because I'm really delusional at the moment, and I'm not, maybe I need to be more aware of what I'm doing. But I don't think any of my actions have had major consequences at this point. So I'm just unsure why so many of my friends are so concerned and shocked. Maybe I need to take a step back and just calm the farm a little bit until, it's so hard because the silly season is kicking off, and I only think I'm going to get more unhinged from this point. Not unhinged in a bad way, but just, is it bad? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This is a genuine, like, maybe you guys could make it make sense for me, because I'm not shocked by any of the side quests or things I'm doing, and I'm actually having the best time, and it's so much fun. So make that make sense, if it makes sense. Okay, well, today's episode is all about friendships because I get a lot of DMs about girls or boys actually DMing me and asking, like, how do you make friends in your 20s? Like, oh, I'm really struggling with friendship groups, or I'm struggling to connect with the friends that I had in high school, or I'm moving to a new city and I don't know how to have friends. So I thought that we could just talk about that and like unpack it a little bit, and I could talk from my own experience and talk about things that I've been through or going through and how I handle certain situations. You know, I think it's really hard because when you're in high school and then you kind of transition, I mean, high school was, for me, was like, 6 years ago? But you transition, and even going from uni to just like the real world, like even though uni is the real world, but like from high school to university to just like having a job, you go from seeing your friends every day at school or like every day at uni to literally having to schedule a dinner like 3 months in advance. And it's really hard because everyone has work, everyone has uni, everyone has their own lives, everyone has different friendship groups. So sometimes it's really hard to schedule in time with your friends. But I think at the end of the day, if those friends are important to you, you will schedule in the time for them. And that's something that I didn't really do in the past 4 years when I was in a relationship. I didn't really prioritize my friendships and make time for them. And it's more something that I've started to do now. And I've been really thankful because I have been able to lean on my friends in my breakup. And going back to like making time for your friends, it's just so important to prioritize your friendships, because at the end of the day, when you break up with that boy or you break up with another friend, they're the people that you have in your life. And I think it's really great because I've got a lot of different friendships happening at the moment. Like, I've made a new group of friends. I have all my old friends. I have my friends from my early days of high school. And I'm able, and I talked about this last week on the podcast, as like I'm able to lean on different friends for different things. And it is just important that you make the time to catch up with them. And I think the amount of energy that you put into someone, they will be reciprocated. And if it's not reciprocated, then maybe that's not a friendship that you need to invest into. But I have found that the more energy I've been putting into different friends, the more I've been getting back, and it's actually really been filling my cup. But sometimes it's just really frustrating when you try and organize something with them and it's like, oh, I can't do that day, I can't do this day, or I literally am only free in a month. But I think also, when like people are genuinely busy and it's genuinely hard to catch up with them compared to, oh, that person's actually just not making time for me. Because sometimes when you are in friendships, obviously it's different if you have like work or actual commitment, but sometimes you have to sacrifice things so that you can hang out with your friends. You know, sometimes you have to sacrifice some of your time or something. Like, you just need to evenly spread it out across your friends and make sure that you're giving them validation and that you're making time for them so they feel good about themselves, and then they will do that in return for you so that you're filling your cup. And honestly, if you're someone right now that's in a relationship and you find that you aren't prioritizing your friends and you're not making time for your friends, I really, really, really suggest that you rethink that and that you do find time for your friends. Because like, even on a Sunday afternoon, for example, it could be so easy to just be like, oh, I'm just going to sit in bed and watch a movie with my boyfriend, but my friends have all invited me to the bowls club, but I don't want to go because I'm tired. But you haven't seen your friends for 3 weeks. I'm sorry, your boyfriend can wait, or he can come with you. I don't know what your situation is. Make time for your friends. Show up for your friends. Even like showing up, not necessarily as like making plans with your friends, but if your friends post something, love react it, comment on it. If your friend like DMs you or messages you a meme or like sends you a funny TikTok, respond to it. Yeah, you can make time for your friends, literally just be like, by like sending them funny TikToks. It's kind of like a mental thing of like, oh, I'm thinking about you. This thing reminded me of you, you know? And if you have something coming up, just invite those friends, like invite all your friends, you know what I mean? It's really tough, and as you get into your 20s and life gets hard and you go through things and you have relationships and you have your family and you're trying to progress in your career, or you're trying to kick fitness goals, or you've got hobbies and aspirations of blah, 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 blah. I could go on for fucking forever. Making time for your friends is so, so important. Making time for your real friends, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are there for you through anything that you're going through. And then like going back to that thing of like you have friends that start to fill different roles, and that's okay. And you need to allow yourself to be a different role for each friend. And like I said last week, maybe you're the party friend. Maybe you're the friend that they go to for like a bit of comedic relief or a break from all the tragic and sad shit that's happening in their life. Or maybe you're the friend that they do go for advice and therapy. Like, you just need to figure out how it is okay if you're a different friend for different people, or people are different friends for you. Another thing I wanted to kind of talk about is like the difference between friends you outgrow and friends you evolve with. This is kind of something that you have to allow yourself to be okay with. Like, I have had lots and lots of friends in my life that I've outgrown in a way of like, we just stopped making time for each other, and maybe they stopped making time for me, or maybe I stopped making time for them. Or maybe they moved away and it was just really hard to constantly try and communicate with them. I think you need to allow yourself to outgrow relationships. It never means that you can't come back. Like, you can't come back to that friendship. You can. Constantly trying to it's like a cat and mouse game, like constantly trying to chase a friendship that's it's not there is really difficult, and it's really draining. And I think if you're constantly chasing that's when you can cause resentment and issues. And it's honestly like a romantic relationship. Like, when, I don't know, like even going back to my relationship, sometimes you realize that, oh, okay, maybe the spark isn't there anymore. That can also happen with friendships. And sometimes it's best to kind of leave it where it's healthy than to keep going. And then it gets toxic and unhealthy. And then you have a problem with each other. And then you need to find some kind of resolution to the conflict. And it's just like this back and forth. Sometimes it's hard. And sometimes you might outgrow friendships because you find other friends, or you guys don't see eye to eye with morals and ethics or whatever, or you develop different hobbies, or maybe someone gets into a relationship, or maybe one of you really likes to keep going out and partying, and then the other person is like, look, I'm trying to protect my peace, do wholesome things, work on myself. And that is okay, because everyone in life is at a different stage. You can't expect to stay on the same level with your friends as you go through different things. Everyone is experiencing different things. You can't expect to stay on that same level all through life, and it's okay to outgrow friendships, and you can't beat yourself over it. It's seriously okay, and sometimes you need to move on, and sometimes you can always come back to those relationships. And then other times you have beautiful friendships that you do evolve with, and you go through similar things, you can relate to each other. I think it just ebbs and flows, and I honestly sometimes think friendships are harder to navigate than actual romantic relationships, because friendships don't necessarily have like a breakup point. You're not like, okay, we're breaking up this friendship, unless I guess it gets really negative. And a lot of the time, because it's not a romantic relationship, you don't have to like confront these things as much. I feel like you do it more when maybe you're a teenager or younger, but when you're in your 20s, I think life gets so hard and there's so many other bigger things in the picture that you kind of, friendships aren't something that you need to confront all the time. And that's why I think it gets kind of foggy and unclear and it's hard. But I think just, going back to that, allowing yourself to outgrow friendships or evolve with friendships and sit with that and find peace with it. Sometimes you just will have those friends that get in relationships and they do go MIA. I fully was that person. And do I regret it? Yes, I do. But I'm glad that it didn't get to a point where I lost all my friends, because they're the people that I was able to fall back onto during my breakup. I think something that I experience as well is like a massive guilt of wanting to pull back from friendships who drain me, or that drain me, I should say. Sometimes, I kind of said before about the cat and the mouse. There's people where you're constantly like, oh yeah, like let's catch up, and then you never make plans, or you want to make the plans and they don't, or it's the other way around. Or like sometimes friends that kind of, I feel like I've been this friend lately, but it's probably just because I've been going through so much, where you're like constantly hearing about their issues and stuff, and I think I've been that person for other people. You're constantly hearing about their issues so much, and maybe they don't really take much care in your life or ask you questions, and sometimes that can be so draining, and it kind of makes you want to pull back from that friendship, because you're like, okay, that person only cares about themselves or what they're going through. I think my advice for that is, you as a friend, you need to make sure that you're a good listener, and you need to make sure that no matter what you're going through, and maybe you need to check yourself for this, no matter what you're going through, you should make sure that you keep checking in on your friends, asking what's going on in their life. Are they okay? Ask them about their work. Ask them about their relationships. Ask them about their fitness journey, their hobbies, whatever it is. Make sure you're that friend that is asking questions, and you're not just like, my issues, because that can be draining for other people, and people will want to pull back from you. I think, growing up, whenever I had problems with friends, or I had problems at school or whatever, and I would go to my mom and I would be like, Mom, I'm having this problem, and this person, I hate them, and whatever it was. My mom would always be like, or my dad would always be like, okay, well, what did you do? Like, what did you do that provoked them to have that reaction? Or what did you do to make that person upset and have a problem with you? And I'm actually really thankful for that, because then I'm able to understand that if I see a change or pattern in my friends, whether they're pulling back, they're not telling me things, or I'm not getting invited to things, I'm able to have that awareness of like, what am I doing? How am I acting that is making that person like that? Like, if I'm inviting all these people to a party or something and none of them come or whatever, how is it that I'm acting, or what am I doing that's making them be like that? And sometimes it's like, well, if it's me just being myself, then those people can politely fuck off. I don't actually care. But if it's me, like, maybe am I gossiping too much, or am I being judgmental about people, what they're wearing, or does every time I invite people over, the conversation always just turns to about me and what I'm doing? Maybe that's why people don't want to hang out with me, or if I invite them to something, they don't want to come. So I think it's really important, like in your friendships, relationships, that, and I said this last week on the podcast as well, is that you have that outward lens on like, okay, how am I behaving that is affecting those other people? I think sometimes people, and I fall into this all the time, you can have this sense of entitlement of like, everything that I do is correct and I'm the victim and everything that I do is right. And it's like, well, no, not everything's perfect. Even in my relationship with the breakup, I fully admit that, like, no, I wasn't perfect in that breakup. You know, it wasn't just him. Like, there's no way I can sit here and go, okay, like, he was the issue, like I was the issue as well. And that goes with friendships where I've had falling outs, or friendships that maybe I have outgrown and that haven't lasted. I'm able to sit there and go, look, maybe I held a grudge over what that person did for too long. Or maybe I drove that person away because I didn't show them that I cared about them, and all I did was, you know, talk about myself, or I didn't plan things with them. And I just really think it's important that you are able to look at yourself and go, okay, what kind of friend am I being right now? And is that fair for me to have this reaction where I'm going to cut them off, or I'm going to, whatever the scenario is, I'm sure you can relate it to your own life and your own things that you're going through. But you just need to have that perspective of being able to reflect on yourself. And that is what will make you a good friend. And that is what will make you want to have people around. I'm not saying that you should constantly be like critiquing yourself, because sometimes people are just shitty. Like, we've all dealt with that. Some people are just shitty, and you need to be able to have that thought of like, okay, that person sucks, and like, I don't know why I'm keeping them around, and I'm gonna cut them off. But I think it's like a yin and yang, or a healthy balance of both being able to look at yourself and look at the other person and go, what do I need? What do they need? Do they suck? Yes, they do. Get rid of them. Do I suck? Okay, I need to work on myself. Does that make sense? I feel like those 5 seconds, however long I just spoke about that, I did not come up for air. Friendships have been something that I've been navigating a lot recently, and that's why I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. And friendships have been something, as I said before, that I've been getting just so many DMs about, and that's why I just thought it's so important to talk about. And I feel like so many of these people, and including me, for the last 5 episodes, I've been talking about boys, relationships, healing myself, but I just think friendships are so important in this life, because you have a partner and you have yourself, but you need people around you for when you go through things. I think I'm going to give you guys some tips for maintaining friendships when you're busy, because I think this is the most common issue, especially at the stage of life I'm in. I say early 20s, I'm 24. I refuse to say that I'm in my mid-20s. I'm not going to say I'm in my mid-20s till next year when I turn 25 and 26. But for me, 24 is still early 20s. I still feel like a baby, even though I'm not. I was teaching this kid the other day, and we were talking about something, and she goes, I'm 16. And then I actually I was like, oh, that's not that much younger than me. And then I actually took a breath, and I was like, holy shit, that's 8 years younger than me. Wait, is it 8 years? Wait, 16, 20, that's 4. Yeah, 8 years. And I'm like, oh my God, Meg, you're not that young. You're actually old. Get your shit together. Anyway, common problem in your 20s, finding time for friends, as I said before, because of everyone's life and schedule gets just so busy. So I said before, I think it's important to send funny TikToks, memes, whatever, because it is a thought of, okay, I'm, thinking of that person. Another thing I think that is a really simple thing that you can do, and this is obviously if you're a close friend, is just send voice memos to your friend, a little update voice memo. It takes literally 5 seconds out of your day. If you were actually to count how long it took to send a voice memo, it's 5 seconds. I'm not saying you need to have a full conversation, D&M, debrief, whatever, just send them little voice memos. Like, even if it's like, I don't know, you got dumplings but they tasted like shit, like you literally could just voice memo. I just email what? You could voice memo them and be like, oh my god, I just had the worst dumplings, we should go for dumplings one time, or whatever. So I think voice memos, memes, even just like a little check-in on like, I don't know when, just be like, oh, saw this couple on the weekend, made me think of you, how are you and blah blah going. And I think that's really nice, because I think everyone wants to feel like they're being thought of and appreciated. I also think something that I didn't do for the past 4 years, which I did before my relationship and I've started doing a lot now, is I'm the one that makes the plans, and I reach out to people if they want to hang out. And honestly, rejection therapy, like if they say, hey, I'm not feeling up to it, it's like, cool, whatever, I'll ask another friend. Or like if they're like, oh, I'm actually just busy this week, be like, okay, then let's find a date that we can do it. And sometimes I think the thought of actually like trying to find a date and plan a time can be really annoying and stressful or whatever. Just do it. Like at the end of the day, catching up with those people, filling them in with whatever's going on in your life will actually, I always talk about filling your cup, but will actually fill your cup and you'll feel really great about it. And usually when you hang out with someone, it kind of gets the ball rolling for the next time that you're going to hang out. Like sometimes if you leave it too long and you're constantly like, let's catch up, it never ends up happening. And sometimes it's just easier to go, let's find a date, find a time, whatever. And even if it's like honestly sacrificing your night after work, like maybe you know on a Thursday night that after 5 o'clock you're tired, whatever, and someone reaches out to you and goes, let's go for dinner, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be tired after work. Just do it. Like, who cares? You never know how that might make you feel. And then even if it doesn't fill your cup and you go, oh, I was actually really exhausted after that, maybe next time you know, okay, I don't want to do that with that friend, or maybe we should do a Sunday morning walk or something instead. But there's always time to go and catch up with your friends. What's another tip for maintaining friendships? I feel like I've covered most things. Just like little check-ins, DMs, phone calls, FaceTimes, send memes, and reach out and actually plan things and invite people to things. And I think actually in talking about inviting people to things, I think it's better to go in with a plan like, hey, I want to be at this place, this time doing this, rather than being like, let's catch up, and then being like, okay, and you being like, all right, what should we do? Because then it just delays the process. That goes for actually when you're asking people out on dates as well. Like, go in with a plan of what you want to do so you're not just like fucking around. Something that I've gotten a lot of DMs about, which I'll address, is like ways to make new friends. A way that I have made my new current group of friends is that I met them through my roommate, through a mutual friend. And we just hung out a bunch in a group setting, and then we just started clicking, like me and James and Eden and Litz, and so we've just started hanging out, and that's honestly like how I made new friends. But there's also so many people I've met through TikTok and content and stuff like that, where if you find someone that you feel like you gel with, honestly, like just comment on their stuff and DM them, like shoot your shot as if you would in a romantic relationship. And I'm pretty sure I've said this on this podcast before, but there's no shame in it. Rejection therapy, if they don't reply to you or they don't say anything, then that's fine. You just leave it there. But I think just a good way. And also there's so many things like run clubs, gyms, like all these like events. I think there's so many ways that you can make new friends like that, like online, doing all those things I just said. And I think if you are someone that is maybe moving to a new city or whatever you're doing and you want to make new friends, you need to make sure that you're super open-minded and you have that intention. You can't go into a situation where you want to make new friends with like judgment or like closing people off straight away. And I think in order to be open-minded and be open to people or come across like you're open to new friendship is make sure that you take an interest in their life and you ask them questions, like all that stuff I said before. But I really don't think that making new friends in 2025 is hard. It's only hard if you don't put yourself out there, and it's only hard if you're not reflecting on yourself and thinking, okay, what am I doing that maybe is making me not make new friends, if that makes sense. I also don't think you should settle for making friends with people that you don't align with though. Like in talking about the whole reflection thing, I definitely think that you should be making friends with people you align with. So if you like to go out to bars, like maybe you can make friends there. Or if you like exercising, go to a run club. So I think all of those ways are like really good ways to make new friends. And I think, yeah, online as well. Even like, I don't know, like I've seen lots of people on Raya. I know not everyone can go on Raya, but I've seen lots of people on Raya with the intention of like, this is just for friends. But I don't know if that's like a whole nother ball game with like making connections with like celebrities and stuff or like rich people. But I have seen people do that. But I do think you can slide into people's DMs on social media platonically as well. I've had heaps of girls message me platonically. So yeah. I've spoken, like I literally have gone on the biggest rant about friendships now. So I think I have come up with a little friendship test. So I'm going to ask you guys, the audience, some questions. If you're trying to navigate and figure out, okay, is someone being a good friend? Or maybe you can kind of flip these questions and think, am I being a good friend? And I think if mostly the answers are yes, then maybe they are a good friend. And then if mostly the answers are no, you maybe need to reflect on whether this friendship is right for you. Okay, let's get into it. First question. Have they ever celebrated something for you that didn't involve them? So like, are they happy for you when you tell them about an achievement, or like even, yeah, like that? Or do they come across jealous, or do they downplay it, you know? So I feel like that's really important in a friendship, is like celebrating your wins and celebrating their wins. Do they ask how you actually are, or just what's new? Do they just want to know like the goss that's going on in your life? Although I feel like it is okay to have friends that are just for that kind of purpose. Or do they actually want to know how you are, how you're coping with things? Are you okay? Can you cry in front of them without feeling like you overshared? I think if you feel like you're oversharing and you're crossing a boundary or whatever, then maybe they're not a friend that you can get deep with and talk about, and maybe they're not as good of a friend as you may think. And I think this is really important for men, if any men are listening to this, because just from the men I know in my life, I know that sometimes it's hard for them to have difficult conversations about like if you're not okay compared to women, because women, we're constantly talking about how we're feeling and talking to our friends about what's going on. So I think if any men are listening to this, really you can evaluate if your friends are good friends, because it's really important that you're able to open up to those people without them necessarily always taking the piss out of you or making you feel insecure about it. Can you go out together and hang out sober without it being awkward? I think if you can only go out drunk with those people, I would be questioning whether those friends are like really good friends or they're just your party friends. And again, it's okay to have them as just your party friends, but maybe question whether they're actually your good best friends. This is a girly question. Do they take cute photos of you unprompted? I really dislike it when people don't take cute candid photos of like me. That sounds really conceited, but I'm constantly taking cute, unsolicited pictures of my friends, even funny pictures of my friends, just because I want to have those photos of them for like the memories. Like I have this whole like film photo book of all my 35 millimeter photos, and it's like there's no photos of me in there. It's just like all my friends, because I love those memories, and I'm constantly that friend for other people, and I love being like, oh my god, I got this really good photo of you candid, like I'll send it to you. So yeah, like are they taking cute candid photos of you or are they not? Do they make you feel secure, not competitive? I don't think it's healthy to have competitive friends, and I actually think that's really bad for your mental health. Do they let you have other friends without making you feel guilty? I personally would not keep anyone in my life if they made me feel guilty about hanging out with other people. And I completely understand when you see your friend hanging out with other people and it makes you jealous, like, oh, why didn't they want to invite me to that? Or why didn't they want to hang out with me? But you have to understand and let them and allow your friends to have other friends, because I actually don't trust people who just have like one friend that they're obsessed with and they want to do everything with, and like I feel like we all know that girl or boy that always has to have like one best friend that they hold on to. I think that's unhealthy. I think it's really healthy to have lots of groups of friends. Of course, you can have your best friends, but I think it's really healthy to have lots of friends and not have the guilt from other people if you're hanging out with other people. And last friendship test question, can they handle honest feedback without turning it into drama? I know all my current friends, if I said like, I don't know, if they said like, is this situationship that I'm in right now toxic? And I said, yes, it is. You need to do something about this. They wouldn't be like, well, you're just jealous or you're just blah, blah, blah. They would actually take that on. Or even if it was something as little as like my friends asking me like, oh, does this top look good? And I would be like, no, it doesn't. They wouldn't be like, oh, you just think I'm ugly. They would be like, oh, okay, I'll put something else on. Or like they'd be like, politely, I don't care about your opinion, which I am really happy that I have that friendship and I'm able to, you know, share like honest feedback with friends without it turning into drama. Okay, that was a lot about friendships, and I feel like I ranted for so long just there without coming into breath, or I don't know what that saying is. I thought I really want to do at the end of each episode your Make It Make Senses. So I'm going to read out some DMs and some submissions that I got, and then we can get into it and we can unpack it, and maybe you guys can have your 2 cents as well. All right, first one. Hey Meg, my best friend flirts with my situationship as a joke, but it's starting not to feel like a joke. Make it make sense. Oh, I think that's really hard. Like, it honestly depends how, like, you and your situationship, like, how serious it is. I do actually have a friend that is really flirtatious, but I just know that she's flirtatious. I think the problem maybe will come back if she, like, maybe if your friend tries to make a move on your situationship, or your situationship starts to have or like flirt back with your friend. But I think honestly there is nothing wrong with just saying to your friend, hey, the way that you're flirting with my situationship makes me uncomfortable, and I just, can you push back, or can you maybe stop that? I think there's nothing wrong with having that conversation, and if they can't handle that, or they get offended by that and they can't respect your boundaries, maybe you can question, or maybe you can pull back from that friendship, because you really don't want to. I feel like we all know this type of friend as well, the friend that any guy that you're talking to, they become interested in somehow, or they become flirty with them. You really don't need those toxic girls in your life, and they're not girls if they're doing that. So I think my advice is to have that conversation. If they can't handle it, maybe you question your friendship, or you have another conversation with them about, hey, you're not respecting my boundaries. I don't know what to do about this friendship. I don't know if that response and advice is really catastrophic, but that is just personally what I would do. Although I know I had a little of a criticism about my take on Hey Girly DMs last week. But that was just coming from my experience and the things that I thought. But I did post that clip on TikTok and I took it down because I understood where the girls were coming from, being like, no, I think you should, if someone is being cheated on, you should tell them, which I do agree. But I was just coming from my experience of getting false Hey Girly DM messages when people didn't know my situation. Anyway, I got off track there. That's what I would do in that situation. Next one. We broke up 6 months ago, but he still watches all my stories. Womp womp. I think his loss. He's a loser. There's nothing you can do about that. Like, if you don't want him watching all your stories, just block him. But I actually think that's a huge compliment because he's obviously still thinking about you. And I don't know if you broke up with him or he broke up with you or what the goal is there. But if you broke up 6 months ago and he's still viewing your stories, good. He's still thinking about you. You live rent-free in his brain, which I think is like the biggest compliment ever. Next. My friend gets mad when I hang out with other people, but she's always with her boyfriend. Oh, that's really tough. Oh, I kind of just spoke about this before. Again, I think in that scenario, I would just have that honest conversation. Guys, I think with all of these, you need to just be having honest conversation with your friends or your partners or whatever, because like no one's a mind reader. If you say like, I don't know, like, are you inviting her? Maybe if you're not inviting her or you stopped inviting her, maybe she's feeling a little bit cut and upset about that, and I think rightfully so. But if you're inviting her and she's constantly like, no, and then you find out that she's with her boyfriend, I think you just need to have that conversation and be like, hey, I want to hang out with you, but you're always with your boyfriend and you don't make time for me. Because at the end of the day, if someone's not making time for you, they're not being a very good friend. That's what I would do. All right, next. We'll do 2 more. I ghosted this guy because he was honestly too nice. Like, opened my doors, complimented me, actually planned dates, and it gave me the ick. Oh, Taylor's oldest time. But now it's been a few weeks and he hasn't even tried to message me. Like, hello? I'm the one who ghosted you. You're supposed to chase me. Why am I offended that he moved on? Meg, please make it make sense. You know what? When I was going through my breakup and like it was a bit awkward because we weren't no contact, I kind of went through this a little bit where my roommate said to me, if you keep messaging that person, they're just going to be like whatever, but as soon as you pull back, they're like wanting more. So I feel like this is kind of what's happened to you here. Like, he's been like all into you and you're like, it's like everyone loves the chase. And then when he's pulled back, you're like, oh, well, why is he not messaging me? I think what I would do in this situation is that you need to evaluate like whether you actually like this guy, because you obviously got the ick in the first place. Like, if he was to reach back out to you and like show you affection or show that he wanted to hang out with you or whatever, like, would you get the ick again? And I think if that's the case, you just need to forget about him and move on, and maybe you need to work on not loving the chase so much. I personally don't like the chase because and I said this last week, I would rather just know if you like me and you're going to know if I like you. I think there's a lot of toxicity around the chase, and I think no good relationship, maybe, but in my opinion, no good relationship starts like that. And I think that's a quick way to have a really toxic relationship. So I think evaluate whether you like him or not. And if you want to give him another chance, maybe you can just reach out to him again. But there's literally so many men out there that they're all going to fuck you over anyway. They're all going to upset you anyway. Like, let's just move on. Honestly, find a new one. Who cares? Go lesbian. Do whatever you want. All right. I don't know if that was good. Guys, I don't really know if I'm good at giving advice or not. Last one. This woman has said, make this make sense. I keep saying I'm mysterious and hard to read, but if someone takes longer than 5 minutes to reply, I'm sending them a 12-paragraph essay about how that made me feel. Like I want to be the quiet, intriguing type, but unfortunately I overshare for sport. Yeah, look, this is, like, I don't really know what to say to this. I know a girl that, like, literally went on a date with a guy once, and then he wasn't responding to her, and she, like, sent him this full paragraph about, like, I feel like you're just leading me on. I think you can never, talking about men here, I don't think you can ever assume that, I don't think you can ever assume that they want you. I always kind of get the impression or the feeling you need to assume that they don't want you. And I think it gives them the ick, like boy or girl, it gives them the ick if you're berating them so early on into like a situationship or a relationship, and I think you should just leave it. But I completely understand. I want to be mysterious too, but sometimes you just have to accept the fact that maybe you're not mysterious. You'd actually be surprised, and I've had a lot of guys DM me. No, I've had a lot of guys DM me about how they like how confident I am and how I'm an open book. So I think you'd be surprised. Like, you don't always have to be that mysterious person with like skeletons in the closet or whatever. Sometimes it is better to just have all your cards on the table and not be mysterious. And I think I always think you shouldn't be fighting who you actually are. I think you should just let yourself be who you want to be. Don't try and be mysterious if you're not. But also don't berate men and send them 12-paragraph essay about how that made you feel, because that's just going to give them the ick. And so that was your Make It Make Senses. Please keep sending them in to me because that was really fun and I hope you like my advice. I don't know if anyone liked my advice last week, but we ball, we keep moving. Well, that was a fun episode about friendships. Let me know what your take is on everything I said, or if you have your 2 cents or whatever. Let me know if that helped you. I kind of ranted and rambled for pretty much an hour just then. But that was really fun. I really enjoyed filming that episode. Follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Follow the Make It Make Sense Instagram. Follow me on TikTok, Meg Hansen. Follow me everywhere, guys. I need to stop shouting myself out. Love you guys, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode. Thank you so much for the support. I'm really loving it, and I appreciate it so much. Bye.